Cosmetic surgery, which alters one's body, is one of the most popular yet deadly procedures there is out there. And with beauty standards moving towards a more curvy yet slim figure for women, may actually push them to seek out this aesthetic surgery in order to achieve this beauty standard that is so often seen projected towards them in the media. Now, with terror management theory, it states that humans will cling on to their cultural worldviews and bolster their self esteem to alleviate anxiety about death. And one way that this can be done is by using one's own physical body to guard against this death anxiety. However, that is only the case when one believes that their body aligns with the cultural body standard. Thus, if you believe that your body is in current adherence with the cultural body standard, you are then effectively guarding yourself against this death anxiety. With that being said, our current study investigates the impact of awareness of death, known as mortality salience, and the curvy body ideal on the acceptance of cosmetic surgery, specifically among women. Our hypothesis for this study is women in the condition where death is salient who hold more curvy ideals will show greater acceptance of cosmetic surgery.
In our study, we got our participants from CSU Channel Islands, and it consisted of 29 female participants. Our study centered only on collecting data from women, being that we focus on cosmetic surgery, TMT, and women's effect on both. For our materials, in our independent predictor variable, our participants were separated into groups with mortality salience versus control, and the participants were asked to write either about their death or dental pain. Next, we use the hourglass body shape ideal scale, which assessed internalization of the curvy ideal, which consisted of a scale starting from 1, definitely disagree, to 5, definitely agree. It has statements, for example, I tried to make my waist look smaller. For our dependent variable, we use acceptance of cosmetic surgery scale, which measures attitudes favorable of cosmetic surgery. It uses a scale starting from 1, strong disagreement, to 7, strong agreement, and had different statements. For example, it makes sense to have a minor cosmetic surgery rather than spending years feeling bad about the way that you look. Lastly, we have our individual differences with the Rosenberg self-esteem scale, in which we measure self-esteem with a scale 1, strongly agree, to 4, strongly disagree, and had items such as I am able to do things as well as most other people. Lastly, we use the fear of appearance evaluation scale with a scale 1, not at all, 2, slightly, 3, moderately, 4, very, and 5, extremely, and had items such as I am afraid other people will notice my physical flaws.
As for the results, a 2x2 ANOVA on acceptance of cosmetic surgery was run to analyze the data. Self-esteem and fear of negative appearance evaluations did show correlation with some of our variables. Therefore, it was important to control for these individual differences in our analysis. There were no significant main effects, but the interaction between the condition and degree of curvy body standards was significant, suggesting that these variables are dependent on one another in affecting cosmetic surgery acceptance. Pairwise comparisons were used to examine how the specific groups differ in comparison to one another. These differences can be explained using the graph. Although it seems as if those with high curvy ideals, shown in the red, show less acceptance of cosmetic surgery when exposed to death, this finding was not statistically significant. The only significant difference was seen among those with low curvy ideals, shown in the gray. When these individuals were exposed to death, their acceptance of cosmetic surgery significantly increased compared to those who wrote about dental pain. The present study built on prior research by connecting terror management theory with the growing curvy ideal. As we would expect in our everyday life, women with high curvy ideals tend to show general acceptance of cosmetic surgery, presumably as a means to achieve their ideal body. It isn't until exposure to death that women with low curvy ideals adopt higher attitudes that accept cosmetic surgery. This is something we did not hypothesize given that they do not subscribe to this body standard. Although we do see some limitations in the current study, future research should extend these findings and look into actual cosmetic surgery behavior, given that we only looked into attitudes regarding it. Furthermore, there should be investigations into why exposure to death would influence an individual to adopt attitudes that go against their personal values and aren't outright beneficial to their health. Considering that we are passing through a time where death is present in a lot of our lives during the COVID-19 pandemic, This begs the question if we too are at risk of developing harmful and uncharacteristic attitudes.